Hey guys, Aaron CybertronVGC here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online Reg I VGC ladder in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and provide live commentary as I go. In this video, I'm going to be featuring a really cool team featuring Swords Dance Clear Amulet Rayquaza. Rayquaza is a very underplayed Pokemon in this format, and as we head into the final month of Regulation I, of course, want to get to feature it. And this team actually won a grassroots tournament recently, and so I think what better time to showcase the power of Rayquaza than now. The idea is that you have a lot of support for Rayquaza, whether it be Tailwind Tornadus or double Follow Me support from things like Smeargle as well as Clefairy, and you also have Helping Hand support from Clefairy as well as Friend Guard. So the idea is if you get a Swords Dance off with Rayquaza, it can just start one-shotting almost anything in the format, either with Normal Terra, Extreme Speed, or Dragon Ascent. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps down below, and thanks so much as always for joining me. If you enjoy, I'd really appreciate if you consider leaving a like in the video or subscribing to the channel. It really helps out a ton. Anyway, let's get started. If you're interested in trying out the team, the rental code is on the screen, and there's also an accompanying PokePaste down in the description below. This team features Swords Dance Rayquaza, a Pokemon that is not very common in the format. Rayquaza, after a Swords Dance, has the ability to one-shot almost anything in the format, either with Dragon Ascent or Normal Terra Extreme Speed, and when you support that even further with Helping Hand from Clefairy, you truly have so few Pokemon that can reliably take damage from it. The idea is that Rayquaza here is really nicely supported by both Smeargle as well as Clefairy, which offer Fake Out, Follow Me support, and you also have speed control with Tailwind Tornadus. Shadow Rider Calyrex is really effective in cleaning up games after Rayquaza has done a lot of damage across the board, and can also snowball with Astral Barrage in particular. Choice Scarf Urshifu is a Pokemon that can quickly dish out damage and of course allow for some really strong pivoting in the early game thanks to Choice Scarf U-turn as well. So overall, the team is straightforward in the sense that it just wants to hit as hard as possible, and you often want to look for that Swords Dance or nasty plot boost, but overall you've got a ton of damage, and Rayquaza is such an underrated Pokemon. Just for some quick context, this team was created by a Japanese player who goes by Kim0227Poke. They actually finished first place in the 2024 July ranked season in-game, heading into the World Championships, and I had featured that team about a year ago from this point, and so really cool to see them create this brand new team featuring Rayquaza, and like I mentioned, they won an offline grassroots tournament with it, which I think is really, really cool, right? Rayquaza already just doesn't see very much play in the format at all. You barely see it on any mainstream archetype, and to not only be able to utilize it but also win a offline grassroots tournament with it, I think is really impressive, and so just wanted to give some quick context. Breaking down the team, the first Pokemon I want to highlight, of course, is Rayquaza. Question of the day, by the way, with Reg J being announced allowing up to 2 mythical Pokemon, I want to know what balance of Reg I, H, and J content you want to see on this channel. The plan for me, I think right now, is to continue doing Reg I content, but I want to start thinking about Regulation J teams and maybe playing some Showdown. And then Regulation H, we won't have an in-game ladder for, but I'd like to still do battles and feature it because, of course, if you are playing in any in-person tournaments in the fall, we'll be shifting back to that format. So curious what you all would like to see from both like a educational perspective as well as a fun content perspective down in the comment section below. J, of course, will be the in-game ladder starting in September, and so I think that'll probably be the easiest content to make in September onwards, but I'd like to also sprinkle in some Reg H stuff as well. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Now, Rayquaza is the main reason I wanted to feature this team. This Pokemon does not really see much usage in the format, but it can be an absolute monster when supported properly. It's very straightforward. You want to get a Swords Dance off, and then you want to just one-shot everything, basically, right? So the Rayquaza doesn't have a ton of speed here. Instead, invests a lot in bulk, and the theory behind it is you don't really need the speed if you're going for Normal Terra Extreme Speed so frequently anyway. And if you do want to outspeed your opponent, you've got Tailwind from Tornadus as well, right? So the Clear Amulet here is a huge item. You often see people use this. Maybe sometimes other items are like Life Orb or Choice Band or Focus Sash are used, but Clear Amulet is just absolutely huge because it turns Rayquaza into something that gets absolutely just, really, really neutralized by Incineroar into something that can set up a Swords Dance and then just one-shot Incineroar afterwards, right? So it's a really excellent item for this. However, if you want to get Rayquaza going, it's important to have the right support for it. So that's why this team often feels like a protect the Rayquaza and protect the Shadow Rider comp, where you've got double Follow Me support from Smeargle as well as Clefairy. Smeargle's been taking over VGC again in this format, and this is kind of the classic set. Main thing to point out here is that you're actually running Dark Terra rather than something like Grass or Ghost Terra, and so I think all of those are viable options. Dark Terra is interesting because it actually does help out against, for example, Prankster Taunt from something like Whimsicott. So that's the main reason you'd want to consider something like this. And also helps against Prankster Taunt from opposing Tornadoes. But general idea behind Smeargle is that you can lead it with Rayquaza. You can go for things like Fake Out into Swords Dance, Decorate into Protect, for example, Follow Me into Swords Dance, or Spore into Swords Dance, right? Like, you have so many options with this. So often you'll Smeargle in the early game, get a boost with Rayquaza, Smeargle faints, and then you like bring out Shadow Rider and have Shadow Rider next to Rayquaza, or you have Clefairy next to Rayquaza. And Clefairy is really nice because Helping Hand, Normal Terra, E-Speed can pick up a lot of one-hit knockouts, but will also often fall just a little bit short by like 10-20%. And then Clefairy's Helping Hand is kind of the extra bump that you need on top to guarantee a knockout on things that are even at full HP. So this Clefairy is also fairly straightforward. The main thing to call out here is that you have Encore. Sometimes people will use an offensive attack, right, like Moonblast. Sometimes people will use Heal Pulse. But Encore is really valuable in Trick Room, right? Part of the idea is that this Clefairy is really slow. So if you're up against an opponent that has set up Trick Room, Clefairy then can click Encore, forcing them to reverse Trick Room immediately. And that's really, really helpful because otherwise this team is just way too fast and generally does not have a lot of tools to actually deal with the opposing Trick Room. So the Encore here, a really cool tech move. You can also use it because sometimes people will click Fake Out turn 1, and so you can just Encore them immediately as they click Fake Out, and then suddenly they're forced to switch out on turn 2. But basically, both Smeargle and Clefairy designed to protect Rayquaza and Shadow Rider. Shadow Rider on this team, super straightforward. You're just max special attack, max speed. You want to hit as hard as possible, your Life Orb, and your Dark Terra here, right? So I basically find that Shadow Rider can be really effective in closing out games. You can also obviously pressure early with like Smeargle Calyrex and just like Fake Out Nasty Plot and start sweeping. But I often like leading Rayquaza, really softening my opponent's team, and then Calyrex comes out, everything's at like 20%, Astro Barrage, and just sweep the game from there. So Calyrex doesn't really need much more of an introduction. To round things out, you've got the Sharpbeak Tornadus. This, of course, won the Japanese National Championships earlier in this season, paired with Smeargle, and Sharpbeak plus Bleak Windstorm plus Decorate from Smeargle suddenly turns this into a really, really potent threat, right? So I think when you normally see Smeargle Tornadus before the Sharpbeak set really came to fruition, people didn't really think Tornadus would do a ton, but a +2 Sharpbeak Bleak Windstorm can actually pick up a lot of one-hit knockouts or do like, 75% to a lot of common Pokemon in the format. So fairly straightforward on Tornadus here. A couple things to note. You've got Protect here because you don't have Covert Cloak and you're also Dark Terra. Once again, Dark Terra, very helpful against opposing Prankster Taunts. Also can be valuable into Psychic type damage, right? Something like Expanding Force, Calyrex, Shadow Rider, for example. Last Pokemon on the team is Scarf Urshifu. Also fairly straightforward, designed to just hit as hard as possible. And with this, you are able to, for example, threaten leads like Tornadus plus Urshifu and just like Tailwind, Water Terra, Surging Strikes, pick up some quick knockouts early on. And so Urshifu just gives you another really fast option on this team, right? As you can see, you are very speedy with max speed Shadow Rider as well as Scarf Urshifu and a Rayquaza that has priority. So yeah. In terms of ways of playing with the team, I think a lot of different modes you can consider, but Smeargle or Clefairy plus one of the two restricteds is really powerful. Tornadus plus Urshifu is also quite powerful, and Rayquaza Urshifu, I think, is also a cool lead, especially into teams that might rely a little bit more on weather, whether it be Groudon, Kyogre, or Korai, for example. Rayquaza can shut down the weather, and then Urshifu can, for example, either dish out more damage with Water Terra Surging Strikes, and since the sun is turned off, for example, or you're able to just like potentially pivot out and maybe use U-turn to break a Focus Sash, bring in something, and play the game from there. In terms of things to watch out for, I think the first thing that I want to call out is that Miraidon is a scary Pokemon from an offensive standpoint against this comp because you don't have any resistances really, right? And so Volt Switch, Dazzling Gleam really can just do so much damage across the board. And Trick Room is also something that can be problematic since you are very fast and have no bulk on things like Shadow Rider or Urshifu, for example. And so the best example of a team I can give you is one that has Miraidon, Farigiraf, as well as something powerful under Trick Room like Ice Rider, right? I think with that example, Miraidon alone does a lot of damage, and then Farigiraf is a great example of a Pokemon that's really annoying for this team because it is immune to Astral Barrage, it blocks Extreme Speed, it blocks Fake Out, and then like Miraidon plus Farigiraf as a duo can be really challenging because you have to deal with the fact that Electric Torrent is also set up, right? And so that is one example. I've run into, for example, like Focus Sash as an item, which I think can be really annoying as well because so much about this team aims to like pick up one-hit knockouts. So if your opponent is able to hang on thanks to a Focus Sash, like that can be a huge nuisance. Shadow Rider obviously does not love going up against Wide Guard, and Rayquaza specifically doesn't love going up against Steel types or Steel Terras, for example. Rayquaza is also one of those Pokemon where you want to take like positive trades, you want to get a knockout, and it's really bad if like you don't get a knockout but your opponent knocks you out in return, because this Pokemon just is so much of this team's damage, right? And so yeah, I think if you're looking for specific ways to beat the team, I consider Trick Room. Miraidon in general I think can be very scary if utilized properly, and I think a really well played Shadow Rider can also be quite difficult, like a focus as Shadow Rider. I actually featured a team that won another grassroots tournament over in Japan with Zamazenta Shadow Rider, played against it in practice, and I found it really difficult to deal with because you basically had to position Urshifu properly to deal with Sash Shadow Rider. If Urshifu fainted, Sash Shadow Rider's Astral Barrage was incredibly threatening, especially with a strong partner next to it like Zamazenta or Chiyu, for example. And so yeah, those are some quick notes. This is a cool team. Terapagos, Koraidon, Magmar, Fluttermane, Incineroar, Cresselia. Well, in honor of Regulation H returning, Magmar and Electabuzz, of course, were actually used, so that's interesting. Huh. Sash Flutter is normally on these comps with Koraidon. Definitely have to be a little bit careful about that offensive combo. Rayquaza with normal Terra, E-Speed isn't terrible. I could go... I mean, Rayquaza also shuts down the sun, right? Which is pretty nice. That's actually kind of a big deal. Wait, I actually really love that for us, right? Because then I can go Rayquaza or Urshifu. If you lead Fluttermane, I just threaten you with Surging Strikes immediately. Shadow Rider, and then I think I like Clef as the fourth. Yeah, I think Airlock is actually a pretty huge deal here. And Urshifu's nice because we can Surging Strikes into Magmar or go for Close Combat, for example. Although, Surging, we'll probably want to Surging most of the team, other than Terapagos. And yeah, it's Koraidon, Fluttermane. So this is the exact logic I had behind this lead, which is that with Airlock, I turn off the sun. So no speed photosynthesis on Fluttermane. Right? No sun. Cool. Which means I think I can just get away with Swords Dance turn 1. Water Terra Surging. I don't know if I need to Water Terra, this is the thing, because normally this isn't really going to be bulky. But Water Terra is decent into anything they could switch into. It's also a question of what fighting type attack you're running, because, and if you're Life Orb. Because I could save my Terra for Rayquaza, basically. But I think I'm down to Swords Dance, Water Terra Surging here. Airlock is such a big deal here. I can't stress that enough. And the fact they stay in with Fluttermane, I think, is really, really good. If we're able to eliminate that before they can capitalize from having the sun up, that's a huge deal. Sweet. Okay, yeah. Surging does so much there. But the Water Terra also covered for, you know, any switches, and Flutter, actually, in the off chance being defensive Terra. But I could have just gone Dragon Ascent here instead of Swords Dancing. Cool. Collision Course. That's a good sign as well. And with no sun being up, like, this should not KO us. Yeah, that was a crit and still didn't KO. And we get Swords Dance up now. Beautiful. Okay, that was a fantastic first turn for us. Would it be better if, like, Koraidon Terra'd or protected? But I will gladly take that turn. You can see how valuable it is to shut down my opponent's weather, right? So I think the main thing there is, like, I didn't necessarily need to go for that Water Terra. We're going to switch in Terapagos now. Okay. Terapagos in, but we've got Shadow Rider in the back and Clefairy. Clefairy here in the back should be super helpful. I think I personally don't mind going for Protect here and then surging into the Terapagos slot. This breaks the Terra Shell, and then should put it in Dragon Ascent KO range, but I don't want to attack with Rayquaza this turn because it is a little bit more vulnerable. The idea is if you knock out us here, then I get the free switch into Clefairy, and then Clefairy just offers so much protection for Rayquaza. But this is where maybe having normal Terra would have been a little bit better for Ray. Although I guess it would have opened up weaknesses to Collision Course as well as Terra Star Storm. But prioritizing the Terapagos here because I know that I can't hit it as hard. And they're actually going to switch the Koraidon out, which I'm more than okay with. Into Magmar. That's cool. Okay. Terra Shell. So we're not going to do a ton here, but that's okay. The key thing is just to break the Terra Shell. I could have gone Surging Dragon Ascent here into the Terapagos, but I was worried about like Specs Pagos and then a double KO this turn. I'm okay seeing a Calm Mind here. Rock Polish. Okay. Rock Polish is cool. I think that's okay. I'm going to go Dragon Ascent into Terapagos now. And just switching Clefairy, I think. The best outcome for them would be maybe Protect Terapagos and then Will-O-Wisp with Magmar if you've got that. I think it's also an interesting position because, yeah, like you probably want to try to knock out the Urshifu because it is threatening Surging Strikes with Water Terra. Okay, they just go for Follow Me. Yeah, that's perfect. And just Terra Star Storm. Beautiful. Actually did a ton of damage. It's pretty impressive. But Dragon Ascent one-shots Magmar. Awesome. Okay, Koraidon comes back in. Two turns of Sunlight. We've already committed Terror on you. I mean, honestly, I think I can just go Helping Hand Extreme Speed here. The alternative is also Follow Me Dragon Ascent. Because this could Terra right now, right? Yeah, I think I like Follow Me Dragon Ascent more. Here's the Terra. Yep, Terra Terapagos. I just wasn't confident in +2 Extreme Speed with Helping Hand KOing a Terra Terapagos. Like, this is generally okay as long as they don't have a random Dragon-type attack on Koraidon, but normally it's Collision Course, Flare Blitz, Flame Charge, Protect. I'm also not sure Terra Star Storm knocks us out now because you go from single target to spread damage. Yeah, we survive. Exactly. Yeah, and it was Flare Blitz anyway, so we were fine. Cool. Rock Polish is a really cool tech, though. Of course, giving you the speed advantage. But yeah, I think Rayquaza was incredible for this in this game, right? It obviously provided us a ton of offense, but also valuably shut down the Sun, allowing us to have this unique Rayquaza plus Urshifu lead, and allowed me to just snipe down the Flutter Mane slot. I think if you look at my opponent's team, like, they're probably thinking, well, I don't have to worry about water type damage a ton because I have Koraidon, right? But when Rayquaza shuts that down, like, Water Terra strikes, part of why I went for it was because it would also cover for Flutter Mane just switching out. But now we can just go out into Shadow Rider. And with no Flame Charge, I just outspeed with Shadow Rider and just get Life Orb Psychic off. Curious how much E-Speed does, though. My guess is like 60-ish%, 50 to 60. But they just end up forfeiting. Yeah, Rayquaza was incredible for us here. Allowed for that unique turn 1 play, right? Shut down Sun, shut down Photosynthesis, knock out Flutter Mane. Once Flutter Mane is down, that's a huge threat to our team out of the way because it's really quite annoying for both Rayquaza as well as the Shadow Rider. So it's like, take care of a really big threat. And with no Sun on Koraidon, you just don't do nearly as much damage, which is really, really nice. And Koraidon, because so many of the common sets don't run Dragon-type attacks, it can't actually threaten Rayquaza a ton, right? Like, you're clicking fire and fighting type damage. And so I think we could have actually just won the game probably on turn 1 if I just went Surging plus Dragon Ascent. Like, I didn't necessarily need a Terra Urshifu. I also could have Dragon Ascented over Swords Dancing, but I felt like the Swords Dance was relatively free, and it's like, if you can get a free Swords Dance up, that's never bad, right? So I was hoping to say maybe a Koraidon. I guess Protecting doesn't make a lot of sense. It still makes some sense when you're staring down an Urshifu, I suppose. But either way, yeah, I think maybe we could have just Dragon Ascended turn 1, pick up a double knockout immediately, and then we're up 4-2. Then you're down to Magmar plus Terapagos. It's still not a guaranteed win for us from that spot, though, right? Because then you do have, like, Follow Me into Rock Polish pressure. But I guess then, like, Urshifu just gets another guaranteed Surging Strikes off. Yeah, that's kind of tough to deal with. But, yeah, Rayquaza was so good. We've got Miraidon, Zamazenta, Grass Ogerpon, Chien-Pao, Volcarona, Rillaboom. I think this is the 6 Eric Rios used to get top 4 at the North American International Championships. And I think that had Scarf Miraidon, Covert Cloak on the Ogerpon, if I remember correctly. Electric Seed Volk. Rayquaza should be really solid here, I think. I mean, we have to be very careful about Miraidon, right? But I think what we can do is go like Smeargle Rayquaza, because I can just go Fake Out into Miraidon Swords Dance. Or even Decorate, honestly. I think it's probably Shadow Rider. I actually think all of our Pokemon in the back work here. Scarf Urshifu doesn't feel great into Miraidon, but it's actually quite good into the other Pokemon. I think it's probably Clefairy here. Clefairy is nice because it also gives me Helping Hand, so it's like I could go Fake Out Swords Dance, and then like it unlocks Helping Hand +2 Extreme Speed or Dragon Ascent. Okay, it's Miraidon Ogerpon. Fine by me. I think I'm just gonna go Fake Out into Miraidon Swords Dance turn 1. The way I'm thinking about sequencing this is Fake Out Miraidon Swords Dance and then turn 2 Clef in for Smeargle Protect. Yeah, they have Taunt, but it's Taunt into Smeargle, which I'm okay with. It was a little bit scary because it could have been Taunt onto the Rayquaza, but I think it makes so much sense to Taunt the Smeargle slot because that's one of your best answers into Smeargle generally. Okay. So now I'm down to bring out Clefairy and then go for the Protect. Alternatively, I can honestly just bring out Clef, Normal Terra, E-Speed, Ogerpon. I don't hate that, actually. Because I do think you probably Volt Switch into this slot. Could be Draco into Ray, though. But yeah, Clef, Normal Terra, E-Speed. Feels okay. Then I'll have Helping Hand E-Speed online the following turn. And if Miraidon stays in, it's going to be really tough for them, I think. One of the things to think about is obviously Smeargle can't get value out of Spore right now, but you know, once Electric Train is gone and we knock out Ogerpon, then Spore actually does become active. So it's some food for thought in the late game. But, you know, one of the awkward things if you look at our team composition is we don't have a single electric resistance, and so we do have to be a little bit careful about how we play around Miraidons. So here's Normal Terra. Okay, no Spiky Shield or Follow Me. +2 Normal Terra E-Speed, one-shots Ogerpon. Cool. Let's see if it's Volt Switch. Yep, it is. Into Rayquaza. And Friend Guard allows us to take it decently well. I mean, now you can go Zamazenta, right? But if you go Zamazenta and you bring out the Miraidon, I can just knock out Miraidon as well. It's going to be Volk, okay? That should have Electric Seed. Yeah. I think Volk, and then you can bring out Zom now as well. have Helping Hand, and I also have Shadow Rider in the back. Shadow Rider in the back. Like, I'm leaning towards double protecting here. And then Helping Hand E-Speed Volk. I also think Follow Me. Dragon Ascent works. I actually wasn't sure Helping Hand plus Extreme Speed would KO Volcarona, which is why I went for this. Yeah, it's just Bash. That's fine. We'll survive that. And they Quiver Dance. Nice. I think that's game over, honestly, right? Because we one-shot Volk. Unless I get Flame Bodied. But we one-shot Volk. You bring out Miraidon. I just Helping Hand E-Speed KO that as well. So, mainly hoping for no Flame Body right now. Even if Flame Body activates, I actually think we're still okay. But let's see. Okay. Nice. No burn. That should be game over then, I think. But let's see. Because I don't think it was Ghost Terra Miraidon. I'm pretty sure it was Scarf. I'm just Helping Hand plus Extreme Speed now into you. And then, like, Zom is actually pretty annoying for this team to deal with, but you can, like, win with Shadow Rider in the late game when you have Clefairy and Smeargle as support, right? Okay, so here's the Terra commit. It's going to be on Miraidon. Yeah, it's Electric Terra. Cool. You can run Ghost Terra Miraidon. It's quite rare, but I actually did get eliminated from the World Championships in 2024 from a Ghost Terra Miraidon, which felt really bad as a Miraidon player. Or sorry, as a Zamazenta player. It's like the worst Terra for Zama to run into. But Helping Hand Extreme Speed here. One-shots Miraidon. Beautiful. So this is what Rayquaza can do. One-shot, one-shot, one-shot after a Swords Dance. And this is why I wanted to bring Clefairy. Like I said, if I get that Swords Dance boost off and I have Helping Hand support, it's really good. So Rayquaza faints. Okay. And now we can just go into... The right play is actually probably... Nah, it's actually fine. I was going to say I could, like, bring out Smeargle and go Fake Out plus Encore. With one more turn of terrain, but it doesn't really matter anyway since this is going to get a Spore off. So, yeah, I think I can just go... I actually think it's fine to just go... Oh, I mean, Behemoth Bash crit, even with Friend Guard up, is never KOing this, right? So... But I also think it's fine to just go Follow Me plus Nasty Plot. Yeah, Follow Me, Nasty Plot, bring out Smeargle. Smeargle, Follow Me. Nasty Plot again, etc. So, the double redirection is nice. We could have ended that game in multiple different ways. Fake out Encore actually probably would have been a fun way to do it. Because then you're locked into the body press, and then so I can just switch in Shadow Rider and then Decorate. So that could have been like a flashier finish, but yeah, I mean, Zama's not going to win that endgame anyway. And Rayquaza was absolutely perfect in that one, right? Swords Dance, one-shot Ogerpon, one-shot Volcarona, Helping Hand, one-shot Miraidon. It was absolutely beautiful. Miraidon, Ice Rider, Ogerpon, Hands, Farigiraf, Iron, Valiant. So... I think if you want to think about nightmare matchups for this team, this is as bad as it gets. You can go Miraidon Farigiraf with Ice Rider in the back, and it is Omega cooked. How do I even beat this? Helping Hand Astral is not a KO on Miraidon most of the time either, which really sucks. Rayquaza is not going to be able to do too much. Like, you could just lead Farigiraf Miraidon, right? So, the best bet, I think, is Shadow Rider Clefairy. Because we have Encore. And that's going to be the saving grace. Shadow Rider Clefairy, Rayquaza. +1. I think Urshifu for offense. But I actually think this game literally will be decided in the first 2 turns. It essentially boils down to, am I able to reverse Trick Room? Or, yeah, Encore lock them. Because I think Miraidon Farigiraf is already a really tough lead to go up against. But they go Miraidon Iron Hands. Or sorry, Miraidon Iron Valley. Okay. Worried about... there's so many things Valiant can do here. Like Icy Wind, Wide Guard. This team is so tough because it's like I had to prepare for the Miraidon Frig mode, but this is also really good. I mean, I want to just double protect her one and see what they lock into. And also see if they have Wide Guard on Valiant. No Terra, unfortunately. Would have loved to see an early commit. Yeah, Wide Guard, okay. In Volt Switch? Leaning towards just Psychic Follow Me now. Okay, they Wide Guard again. That's fine. But how do I deal with... Like, okay, so now the question is, does Volt Switch one-shot Clefairy? It's a 50% chance from max special attack Miraidon. Oh, they're also Sash on Valiant. That's so bad. That's kind of the common item on Valiant these days, though, so it's not surprising. They don't get one shot, which is good, at least. Okay. Yeah, I think this is truly as hard of as a team as we can go up against. They bring out Farigiraf. I think here I want to go just Psychic and Protect. They could just Foul Play, right? I might actually Terra this right now. Just where they Spirit Break this slot. I don't know what set this is. Like, you could Spirit Break and Foul Play right now. I can't lose this because I'm hoping they click Trick Room this turn. Yeah, I'm going to go Psychic into you. Dark Terra, Psychic. Protect. Yeah. But if Valiant Spirit breaks Shadow Rider, it's really cooked. It's just like, I have to deal with this early game, and I also have to deal with Trick Room from Frig Ice Rider as a combo. So, I'm hoping they, like, target Clef with Valiant. Okay, they did have a Fairy type attack. It was Moonblast, but it did go into Clef, so that's good. We get the knockout into Valiant. Nice. Which gives us a special attack boost. Now I'm hoping they Trick Room with Farigiraf, so then I can go Encore. And then they immediately reverse the Trick Room. But it could just be Foul Play. Nice. Okay. We might be okay. We might be okay. I'm hoping you bring out Ice Rider now. It is Ice Rider, okay? So this is exactly why you run Encore on the Clefairy. Because now what I can do is Astral Barrage and Encore and force them to immediately reverse Trick Room. The way they get out of this is Helping Hand or hard switch into Miraidon. It's Helping Hand. Well, okay. I think it's cooked. I mean, I do have Friend Guard, so I think I survive this, maybe. I mean, I have also no bulk. Yeah, I do end up surviving. But it's Scarf Ursh in the back. That's not going to save me. And I think now I'm in KO range from Life Orb, so I faint for my own Life Orb. Yeah. Yeah, I faint. I don't think... The thing is, Smeargle and Tornadus don't save me in this endgame either. So, I don't regret bringing Urshifu. It's actually wild. If I weren't Scarf Ursh, this would be a winning position. Because I can just close combat, Dragon Ascent, Miraidon. But with Scarf Ursh, I can't. But Tornadus and Smeargle don't do any damage to Miraidon. And Smeargle is just terrible into this because I can't Fake Out, I can't Spore. I guess if I had Smeargle, I would probably bring out Smeargle and then protect Rayquaza, self-decorate, and then Dragon Ascent. But I don't even think that's enough to get the knockout, quite frankly. You can just Fairy Terra, Dazzling Gleam, Helping Hand now. Then my win condition is critical hit Dragon Ascent, right? Yeah. Such a tough matchup in my opinion. Because, like, I think two of our Pokemon are just straight up unbringable. I think Smeargle is, like, bringable to an extent, at least for Decorate shenanigans. But it's like with them having Focus Sash on the Valiant, it made things that much more difficult, and Helping Hand on the Farigiraf, meaning that I can't go for the Encore play that I was hoping to lock my opponent into. Yeah, Dragon Ascent does a ton, but it's not enough. I guess if I had Tornadus, the thing is, then if I had Torn, you wouldn't necessarily need to click Dazzling Gleam, I think. You could just choose to not Terra. Like, the only reason I even did that much was because they Fairy Terra'd, but it meant that I had a win condition and getting a critical hit onto them. But yeah, I think out of all the archetypes that exist, I think what our opponent has here is truly as bad as it gets for this team, because it's like, you have Miraidon for so much damage to begin with, and the way that I've generally dealt with Miraidon with this team is getting a normal, extreme speed Terra, like +2, Helping Hand extreme speed off, right? But that doesn't work when Farigiraf exists. It's also really hard to get that initial Swords Dance off, and then Dazzling Gleam kind of just clears the field. And like, normally also to deal with Miraidon, you can get a Fake Out into it, prevent it from attacking, but like the combo just makes Smeargle so bad, because I can't Fake Out, I can't Spore, and by combo I mean Farigiraf plus Miraidon, right? Follow Me is not that great when you're facing Dazzling Gleam pressure as well. And then Ice Rider is also such an offensive threat. So I think Encore Clefairy is kind of like your best bet against it. But as you saw, my opponent didn't fall prey to it and just went for Helping Hand. But if they actually did not click Helping Hand and clicked any other attack, like, then I would have been able to Encore them. Trick Room gets reversed immediately. Calyrex then KOs Ice Rider, and then suddenly it's +2 Shadow Rider with Trick Room locked Farigiraf, and then specs Miraidon. So then Miraidon hits the field. I just Helping Hand, Psychic, KO that, and then we win the game immediately. So if the Farigiraf had just clicked any other move that turn, since they didn't tear Ice Rider, we just win the game. But I think that's, like, honestly, as if we can get it within that range in such a tough matchup, like, I'm honestly not, like, super upset about it. I think Valiant, Miraidon lead, especially with Focus Sash, is also tricky, because it's like, yeah, once again, I'm probably not going to be bringing Smeargle. Like, Urshifu is also going to just get outsped immediately, and Sash Valiant being able to take advantage of that electric terrain is super nice. So, yeah, I thought my opponent just played that very safely, recognized that they had a good advantage matchup-wise, and just did not make mistakes there. We've got Shadow Rider, Zamazenta here with Whimsicott, Urshifu, Rillaboom, and the Incineroar. I think this seems like it should be a pretty awesome game for Rayquaza. Since we're max speed Shadow Rider, I think it makes sense to go Tornadus to set up our own Tailwind, and then one of Clef or Smeargle as the fourth. I think I'm intrigued by Smeargle Rayquaza lead here. We could also go Clefairy, right? But I think Smeargle's great here because of fast Fake Out, immunity to Astral Barrage, as well as Decorate / Spore. So I'll go Smeargle, Tornadus, Shadow Rider, Rayquaza here. One of the things to think about here is who we want to Terra. If I Terra normal Rayquaza, then I, of course, become weak to Body Press from Zamazenta in close combat from Urshifu. If I Terra Dark the Shadow Rider, then the opposing fighting type damage also becomes super effective. So just some food for thought. It's going to be Zamazenta plus the Whimsicott. Okay. It's generally fine with me. You'd think they probably just set up a Tailwind here. Leaning towards turn 1. Actually, no, they shouldn't Tailwind. What you should do is double up on Smeargle, like Moonblast. Because I could just Spore, right? Like, there's not much stopping Spore Zamazenta. Spore Zamazenta, and then Swords Dance. So what they should do is Moonblast plus Body Press into the Smeargle slot. Which means what I can do is fake out into Zamazenta, Swords Dance turn 1. Okay, no Ghost Terra from Zama. Okay, they set up Tailwind. That's fine by me. The main question I have now is whether or not they are Focus Sash on the Whimsicott, because if not, I obviously can just Extreme Speed it, which is fantastic. Special attack boost. Speed drop. It's fine. They could obviously Encore, but Extreme Speed gets around that. If I were them, I would double up into Smeargle, personally. I don't think I actually want to Normal Terra here, though. So I'm going to go for a Spore onto Zamazenta and just Extreme Speed Whimsicott regularly. Yep, they do end up surviving, but that's fine. Encore into Smeargle. That's okay. Yeah, I'm Body Press into it as well. Okay. Dark Terra there could have been cool to get around Encore. Special attack boost. Speed drop. I think now we can switch into the Tornadus. I'm debating if I want to Extreme Speed Whimsicott again, because I could see a switch out into Shadow Rider right now from their end. So I'm thinking about Dragon Ascenting it. If I were my opponent, I would Moonblast plus Heavy Slam Tornadus. Or sorry, Rayquaza. Could Normal Terra here. I'm actually going to switch in Torn Protect here. Okay, it looks like they're staying in Whimsicott, which I'm happy about. Because now this means I've staggered my Tailwind really effectively, where this next turn I can go Tailwind Extreme Speed. And Extreme Speed having higher priority than Encore is a pretty big deal here as well. Heavy Slam. Endeavor! Cool. Although kind of awkward based on how the speeds are. But we've seen Encore, Tailwind, Endeavor. So presumably Moonblast, no Taunt. I don't need to Tailwind this turn technically, right? Yeah, I can Tailwind next turn. I think I'm actually down to just click Bleak Windstorm here and Extreme Speed into Whimsicott. Because now I can Tailwind next turn. Zom Wide Guards. Okay, that's fine. I still knock out your Whimsicott. Beautiful. And now we've gotten into a position where I've stalled out your Tailwind. I have a +2 Rayquaza, and I'm about to set up Tailwind on my own. That could have been a taunt that turn onto Zamazenta, which might have been a little bit nicer, but I like the idea of Bleak Winding to cover for a switch in a Shadow Rider and breaking a potential Focus Sash on Shadow Rider as it switches in. Normal Terra Rayquaza obviously can be immune to Astral Barrage as well. They bring out Calyrex, cool. Yeah, the main question I have is whether or not Shadow Rider is Life Orb or Sashed. We're definitely free to Tailwind right now with this. I think I don't mind going Tailwind, Dragon Ascent into Calyrex. There's no Terras here that really scare me right now. No Protect from Shadow Rider, okay. even if it's Focus Sash, it's not the end of the world. It does, however, mean that I'm probably going to get knocked out in return by an Astral plus Heavy Slam combo, but it's not Focus Sashed. That's huge. Nice. I think with that, the game should be over. Like, we're up 4-2. But let's see. Heavy Slam, and they actually target Tornadus as well, ignoring Rayquaza. Nice. So let's see what their last one is. Incineroar. We've got Clear Amulet, so we don't mind that coming in. Beautiful. 3 turns of Tailwind. We've got Smeargle in the back. It's totally fine to just go double Protect here. Double Protect, then Dragon Ascent plus Bleak Wind should be fine. Once Incineroar faints, and Incin shouldn't have a defensive tear that allows them to resist Dragon Ascent. My Shadow Rider should handle their Zamazenta pretty easily. So, I think the big thing in this game was that my opponent never switched out that Whimsicott, so they allowed me to knock it out, and then I was able to stagger and waste their Tailwind and then get my Tailwind up, allowing Rayquaza to just outpace everything. That's part of the nice thing about this Rayquaza. It's, like, super bulky, but then you also have Tailwinds, and with, like, Tailwind plus Extreme Speed, you get to invest a lot more in your bulk, right? So, cool. Yeah, I'm happy to just go for Bleak Wind here, plus Dragon Ascent. We could taunt into Zamazenta, but I don't really think I need to stop Wide Guard right now. Because if you're Wide Guarding with Zamazenta means you're not clicking Heavy Slam with it into Rayquaza, right? And then, so, you're not getting damage really into Ray. Okay, they do go for Wide Guard, but that's fine. Like I said, it means you're not attacking. Because I'm like, maybe Incineroar is bulky enough to take the +2 Dragon Ascent. That wouldn't be completely shocking to me. And so what the Bleak Wind does is cover for it, right? And once we knock out Incin, Shadow Rider in the back should win the game. So here's Dragon Ascent. That does one-shot Incineroar. Beautiful. I mean, Rayquaza has done all the damage in this game, right? Like, Extreme Speed, KOing the Whimsicott, Dragon Ascent one-shotting Shadow Rider, Dragon Ascent one-shotting Incineroar here. Clear Amulet obviously being a really big deal, blocking that Intimidate as well. Last turn to Tailwind now. Happy to go for Taunt. I mean, we can just Bleak Wind, honestly. Dragon Ascent. Yeah, they just end up forfeiting. But with Shadow Rider in the back, it's like all I need to do is get one attack off into Zama, and we've won the game. So, yeah. I think the initial Tailwind from Whimsicott, like, that's why I was saying for my opponent's end, I think it's actually better to just click Moonblast plus Body Press, because Rayquaza Smeargle is actually kind of a slow duo anyway, so you don't need that Tailwind, but by going for Tailwind on turn 1, it just put them on a timer, right? Because it meant they couldn't set up Tailwind in the subsequent turns, and that meant that Whimsicott, if it goes down in those first couple turns of Tailwind, will not be able to set up a subsequent Tailwind, allowing me to really just set up my own Tailwind and run over the game with. We have Miraidon Ice Rider with Grim, Incineroar, and Ursaluna. You don't actually see Ursaluna on these comps a ton. So that's interesting. Like, Landorus is often used a little bit more Miraidon Ice Rider. This, like, concerns me because Grimmsnarl can set up screens. Like, Grim Miraidon, I think, is a really effective lead. How do I stop Grimmsnarl Miraidon? I could go Smeargle +1. Ugh, this does not look like a fun matchup. Rayquaza, I think, struggles here a bit. But maybe it's something like Smeargle, Rayquaza, Clefairy, Shadow Rider. I think Tornadus is really bad here into the restricted duo. And I don't think I necessarily need Tailwind. I think Urshifu is, like, bringable, but it's just so bad into Miraidon. Incineroar, though. Okay, honestly, not the lead I was expecting. But one that I don't mind, I think, a ton. They do have pressure with double Fake Out here immediately. I almost wonder if they click Fake Out on the same Pokemon. Basically, if I get the, like, Smeargle could Fake Out either Pokemon right now, right? So then if they if you launch both Fake Outs into Rayquaza, I could get a Spore off or even a Decorate. They could just click Fake Out with both. They could Fake Out Grassy Glide. I think I'm down to Fake Out Instant Swords Dance here. It's Rocky Helmet. Okay. Rillaboom is not going for Fake Out, but that's fine, honestly. I don't mind Smeargle fainting here. U-turn, Woodhammer. Yeah. Like, I mean, this feels okay, right? Because now I get a free switch in. So with this, I can just go out into Clefairy. I actually want to Swords Dance again. I don't think I need to, though, honestly. Like, I think I can actually just Protect here, Dragon Ascent into Instant. Because I think now Rillaboom is completely useless, and then I can just Helping Hand, Normal Terra, E-Speed, KO Miraidon, Helping Hand, Dragon Ascent, KO Ice Rider. Cool, get the KO there. Rilla could U-turn here, so that's the one play to watch out for. But I didn't think Clef really had anything else it needed to go for here. It's just meant to be a Friend Guard bot. Cool. Yeah, I honestly think this is just, if you bring out Ice Rider, I Helping Hand Dragon Ascent you. If you bring out Miraidon, I Helping Hand Normal Terra E-Speed you. Rillaboom's completely useless into Rayquaza. That's Miraidon, okay. So now the question is, how bulky are you? Are you Ghost Terra? Those are the two key questions. But +2 attack. There's Helping Hand, Normal Terra, E-Speed. Okay, they're gonna Terra. So the question is, are you Ghost? So one Terra we don't want to see. Cool, Electric, that's fine. I don't think Miraidon survives Helping Hand +2, Normal Terra E-Speed. And because now they no longer have Grassy Terrain, Rillaboom is even less of a threat, and then I still have Shadow Rider in the back, and so even if you were to knock out Rayquaza here, I can just Helping Hand Astral Barrage everything with Shadow Rider. So I feel very good about our positioning. I think Instant Rilla works if I don't have Clear Amulet, but Clear Amulet is so good here on the Rayquaza. So here's the Helping Hand, here's the Extreme Speed, and here's the one-hit knockout onto Miraidon. We pop that immediately. Beautiful. Miraidon faints. Yep, and they would Hammer Clef, but now you don't even have the terrain up, so it does not even do 50% to us. Perfect. We know there's Ice Rider in the back. Yep. Cool. I will say in this position, I think I can go for Protect. Dragon Ascent. Yeah. And this is the reason why. Because I don't think Rillaboom should carry Protect, right? It should be Assault Vested. And so I get a guaranteed knockout onto that slot. And that means your Ice Rider's options are Glacial Lance, in which I don't think Glacial even KOs us at -2 thanks to Friend Guard. And even if you do, I just get Shadow Rider in. I just Helping Hand Astral Barrage. Because I thought my opponent here could try to go for Protect with Ice Rider, Wood Hammer, maybe Critical Hit onto Rayquaza. And then if they Trick Room with Ice Rider, I have Encore, so then I just Encore, and then Trick Room gets reversed immediately. And now we can just Helping Hand plus Dragon Ascent again, and KO Ice Rider. But yeah, basically it's like, I guess if Rillaboom actually shockingly had Protect. But then even if you had Protect, like what Ice Rider isn't going to KO me at -1 defense thanks to Friend Guard, right? So we're just going to see Rayquaza literally pick up every one-hit knockout in this game as it one-shot the Instant at +2, one-shot Miraidon, one-shot Rillaboom, and now one-shots the Ice Rider. Beautiful. Clear Amulet making all the difference there, right? If we don't have Clear Amulet, you get the Intimidate off immediately, and then Instant can pivot out and then come back in and essentially negate a Swords Dance and bring me down to neutral. And like the difference between +2 Rayquaza and neutral Rayquaza is literally huge. So yeah, but Ray did exactly what it needed to in this game, and I think Incineroar being a more passive lead and my opponent actually going for that Wood Hammer to KO Smeargle turn 1 and letting me get a free Swords Dance off really punished them. But I was also fine trading Fake Outs because then I could have just gone Follow Me Swords Dance on turn 2, and so much about this team is like, can you just get that initial Swords Dance up with Rayquaza? I think with Incineroar as well, what makes it easier for Rayquaza is I know that you can't protect either Pokemon most of the time, right? So I'm more free to just launch Dragon Ascent without worrying into Protect. Part of the problem with Rayquaza is if you cannot get a one-hit knockout or if you attack into a Protect, right? And so that's why I targeted the Rilla there, because I figured Ice Rider at least has the opportunity to protect. But honestly, with Shadow Rider in the back and Helping Hand Astral Barrage pressure, I felt like, yeah, we were in a good spot anyway. Miraidon Terapagos with Hands, Grimmsnarl, Landorus, Rillaboom. Okay. Not your run-of-the-mill team, that's for sure. Can't remember the last time I've actually seen Miraidon and Pagos together. And then Rilla's also interesting. What do we want to do here? I think I'm okay with Smeargle Ray. Or Shadow Rider. Don't think we need Torn. I do think Clefairy actually is decent here because of Helping Hand support. To give me like the extra damage I need to get knockouts with normal Terra E-Speed or Dragon Ascent. Let's see what they go with. Right on Hands, okay. Don't love this because we just trade Fake Outs potentially. Hold on. You know what I can do? Because what you should do is you expect Smeargle to fake out your Miraidon, so then Hands would want to fake out Rayquaza. Okay, did not expect that. Electric Seed on Hands. It's actually not a great item for us, although Shadow Rider can Psychic it pretty easily then. What I want to do is actually just Decorate and Protect turn 1. The alternative would have been Fake Out Miraidon Swords Dance, but basically if they launch Fake Out into the Rayquaza, then with Focus Sash, Smeargle definitely gets an attack off. So, let's see. I also thought about switching in Shadow Rider and actually going for Decorate immediately, but it risks Miraidon just targeting that slot. And Miraidon actually reveals that it has Protect. Okay. I mean, I'm fine with this. Although the Shadow Rider switch-in play may have literally just won me the game on one turn if I had gone for it. They Wild Charge into Rayquaza. That's beautiful. Okay. Get a speed boost. Interesting. Does that really make a difference, though? Normally with Protect, like it would be Volt Switch, Draco Meteor, Electro Drift. So if it's all single target attacks, it means I can Follow Me. I'm actually thinking about getting a second Swords Dance off right now, because I don't think I'll one-shot with normal Terra E-Speed on either or Dragon Ascent. And Miraidon switches, that's fine by me. I did make a slight risky play that turn, which is that theoretically they could have been still like Fairy Terra Dazzling Miraidon. It's just, I feel like with Protect Miraidons, you want Volt Switch, E-Drift, Draco Meteor so much, and if it's Fairy Terra Dazzle, then so be it. But I'm willing to make a calculated assumption you're not running that since you revealed Protect already. Okay, Dream Punch, that's fine. Another speed increase. I think I'm okay going for Follow Me right now. Normal Terra E-Speed into Grimmsnarl. Let's just make sure that, unless you actually Ghost Terra your Grimmsnarl, make sure that you don't get a Screens Up. I just don't want Reflect being set up right now. Cool. No random fake out from Grim. No Ghost Terra either. That's exactly what we want to see. Now it's +4 normal Terra E-Speed. One shot Grim Snarl. Perfect. Daydream punch us. That's fine. Smeargle faints. Now we go into the Shadow Rider. It's Rillaboom. Oh, wow. They dropped Terapagos. That's kind of nuts to me, but I'll take it. Okay. You can't fake out into me here. I mean, Ray at +4 should demolish Rillaboom. Like, this is the only real threat to me. I'm down to just Psychic into this slot. Yeah, I mean, it should force Terra out of hands this turn, but then all I have to do is just Dragon Ascent you. I feel like it's fine to Psychic here and just protect with Ray. They don't even Terra Iron Hands. Don't you just faint then? Life Orb Psychic, no Assault Vest. Yeah. Felt kind of greedy to not commit Terra there, I think. The Rillaboom, by the way, makes sense because you probably expect Urshifu from my end, and I almost switched in Urshifu there expecting Terapagos. So the logic is, hey, if I drop my restricted here, I'm going to go for knockoff. Okay. Knockoff's not the most common move on Rillaboom, but that trade is totally fine because you now are stuck with Rillaboom on the field. Miraidon comes in, you don't have terrain anymore, and I just outspeed you. Cool. I think we still extreme speed this slot. Make sure we cover for it. They theoretically haven't Terra'd yet. This, if this is actually Ghost Terra, I actually still lose this. But if you have Ghost Terra, you have it, right? Close combat Rillaboom, E-Speed into Miraidon. Miraidon goes for the protect, but I think I don't want to over-predict here. I still obviously guarantee that I target it. Close combat's going to do a ton to Rillaboom. Your best bet is Wood Hammering Urshifu, but like I'm just so bulky with Rayquaza that, yeah, like if you Wood Hammer Urshifu here, you take a ton of recoil, and then another Wood Hammer into Rayquaza, you probably faint from your own recoil. And they actually just target Ray here, which is fine. Yeah, that should lock up the game. Cool. So we can just close combat again, E-Speed again. But yeah, this is where, like, if you are the random Ghost Terra Miraidon, you could mess me up. But the deck replay worked out nicely for us here. I think the lack of Terra on hands was kind of surprising. Would have allowed them to at least survive for an extra turn. Not sure would have done much, like, had much of a difference. It depends on... Well, yeah, because if the Psychic, like, doesn't one-shot you there, then maybe you can take a Psychic and a Close Combat or Surging Strikes, then the game actually looks kind of different, in my opinion. But Rayquaza getting boosted up was good, and then I think if they had Terapagos out over Rillaboom when I brought out the Shadow Rider, that would have been a scarier position for us. But they ended up dropping it for Rillaboom. It also makes a lot of sense now because the Rillaboom has knockoff, so I have the ability to one-shot my Urshifu as well as my Calyrex, so I actually think it's a very solid pick. But at the end of the day, with no Terapagos, it means they couldn't take advantage of my Terra'd Rayquaza as much. Groudon Shadow Rider, Moon, Smeargle, Hands Volk. Very cool. Groudon actually just won a Victory Road tournament, so I think as we wrap up this regulation, you don't want to sleep on this Pokemon. Roaring Moon seems tough. Double Fake Out's annoying as well. Ursh doesn't feel as good, although can still cancel out the Sun. I feel like I probably want to go Dark Terra Shadow Rider here. little bit worried about, like, Smeargle Roaring Moon lead. That seems really disruptive. I think against that I could go Torn Earth, Shadow Rider, Rayquaza. Yeah, I think this is scary because I can't set up easily with Shadow Rider or Rayquaza, and part of it is because like I have to face offense from Roaring Moon, and I also have to face defense from their own Smeargle, and they're just kind of bulky across the board. It's gonna be Roaring Moon and Shadow Rider. Could obviously Tailwind close combat. I don't hate that option, but I think Moon could obviously just Flying Terra. Also worried about just trading Tailwinds on turn 1. Tailwind, Water, Terra, Surging, I think is an option. Yeah, I don't hate that. I think my problem, though, is Roaring Moon does so much damage to my team. Like, Acrobatics Knockoff will two-shot everything. And by committing Terra this early on Urshifu, I'm going to be a lot weaker with my Shadow Rider. I'm also worried their Shadow Rider is, like, not frail, and they're, like, super bulky and survive this. Neither Terra or Switch. It could have been close combat into Moon. This is actually fine if we one-shot Shadow Rider. I'm just not sure we do. It looks like it's Eevee to survive this. That's quite bad for us. It's actually really close. Oh, nice. We did get the KO. Okay. Then that's worth it. Did they Tailwind? Nice. I think that's literally the best possible outcome, given the leads. Yep. I just felt like anything else I could lead was so vulnerable. I mean, this is still not incredible for us, truthfully. You could fake out. I probably want to switch this out. Don't mind just clicking Bleak Wind here. I think it's more important to get damage onto Moon, right? Like, I'm actually not opposed to just clicking Bleak Wind and surging into Moon here. Fake out into Ursh. That's fine. Knock off into Torn. Okay. So we lose our Sharp Beak. Bleak Wind is also going to miss on the Roaring Moon. Less than ideal. Truthfully, that's the more important Pokemon to hit here, but it's okay, I guess. This could go now for knockoff. It could also just Acrobatics into Tornadus. Roaring Moon is so annoying to deal with. Ugh. I'm okay going for... I mean, yeah, they threaten a double knockout, right? So they could just Acrobatics this. Like, I ideally want to set up a second Tailwind. I think I don't mind protecting here and surging into Moon again. That Bleak Wind miss may have actually been super impactful, unfortunately. Okay, they do knock off into Torn. And the reason for that is because if we hit the Bleak Wind, then the Moon is probably in KO range, right? It's like Bleak Wind plus Surging plus Extreme Speed from Rayquaza should be enough to get the knockout onto it. But unfortunately, with the miss, this is definitely going to survive in Extreme Speed from us now. Which feels tough. A Wild Charge get the knockout onto us. Yeah, I think, like, Moon is just tough because even if I... Like, Shadow... It's just so good into Shadow Rider, right? That's part of the reason why Roaring Moon has, like, won regional championships this season in restricted formats. There's one more turn of Tailwind left. I think I have to go into Rayquaza here, right? Yeah. Maybe it's okay, because I think here I can Swords Dance. Last turn of Tailwind. Like, I would love to get Tailwind up again, but I don't think it's worth switching to Shadow Rider, right? To get that. I think I'm okay clicking Bleak Wind here and Swords Dance. Because then Unless you double up onto Rayquaza here, which could be a possibility. But then even if you double up, I get the Bleak Wind off, and then I get Shadow Rider and I Tailwind Astral Barrage, which feels okay too. But yeah, the idea behind Swords Dancing here is then Extreme Speed can finish off the Roaring Moon. It also covers for Moon potentially protecting, right? Because it'd feel bad if I just Dragon Ascended into Protect, but they just knock off into Rayquaza. That's fine. Bleak Wind double connects. Okay, that's huge. Because I think both of those now should be in Life Orb Astral KO range. We actually get a speed drop on the Moon, which is lucky. Swords Dance comes out. Let's see if this KOs us. It does. But that's fine, right? Because like I said, now if you're going to go for that play, it means that Shadow Rider gets to come out for free. So unless you are normal Terra with either of these, we should be good because I've stalled out both of our Tailwinds and I can just Tailwind Astro again. And the play I made covered for Protect and yeah. So I'm just Tailwind again and Astral. So let's see. Should be in a pretty good spot here. That being said, I think my opponent made like the one play that kind of keeps them in this one. Now you need to probably switch in Groudon, protect the other Pokemon. But then even if you do that, I just go Astral Bleak Wind the following turn, right? So, but if it's Assault Vest Groudon, I think my opponent still has a chance. But no Terra, no switch means this should just be a double KO with Life Orb Astral. Beautiful. And like this is the upside of not getting knockouts, right? Like Rayquaza obviously could have gone Extreme Speed a previous turn, but one of the beautiful things about late game Shadow Rider is if you like put your opponent's Pokemon at really low HP, it can snowball by getting the Grimnay boost, right? So now I'm at +2 special attack. I guess my only fear still is like a random Terra on Groudon. Assault Vest obviously could be the case as well. We could theoretically Swords Dance here. I'm just like debating if I want to double protect. I just like don't want to lose to a random Terra on Groudon basically. So I think I'm okay going double protect here. Yeah. Here's the Terra. Let's see. Fire is normally what you see on Groudon, but you never know. Okay, cool. Just had to confirm that. Okay, now with that, we have +2 Shadow Rider, so I can just go +2 Astral plus Bleak Wind. We should be good. But if it's Assault Vest Groudon, like I'm worried that like it should survive +2 Astral, and then I'm worried I miss Bleak Wind Storm. I feel a little bad. But I think I get 2 shots at Bleak Wind. So Bleak Wind now, Astral into you. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised that they didn't like try to protect one Pokemon and switch into Groudon that previous turn. Cool. And Astro just one-shots. Nice. So that was the upside of sacrificing Rayquaza in order to make sure that my opponent's Pokemon would be relatively low. Because I figured the only way you can get the knockout onto Rayquaza, you have to click Wild Charge, which means you take a reasonable amount of recoil, right? So yeah, I was a little bit scared because I missed that initial Bleak Wind, but the Torn Urshifu lead ended up actually working out quite well for us. Like, I was worried about my opponent switching Moon out into Groudon and then just, like, attacking with the Shadow Rider. I think that could have been really scary. Or if Shadow Rider had just outright survived that Water Terra Surging, and it looked kind of close, but in the end, we pulled it off. Kyogre, Miraidon, Hands, Tornadus, Urshifu, Farigiraf. So, Miraidon, Farigiraf, as I mentioned, is a really scary combo. It's interesting to see Kyogre, though. Those two are not used that frequently with each other. This is more speed-oriented, but I think we definitely have to respect Miraidon Farig still. There's also the Tailwind option. Yeah, I think it's still got to be Clef Shadow Rider here. Rayquaza, Urshifu. But I'm thinking, how do I stop Miraidon, Farig, Hands, Ogre? That seems very, very tough. Okay, the answer is they don't lead it. I'll take it, I guess. Got Friend Guard, I've got Water Terra. I also have Rayquaza. Like, I honestly would like to just Helping Hand Astral Barrage here. If it's Ursh, Kyogre, Miraidon probably in the back. There's Helping Hand. Surging into us, but with Friend Guard we survive. Your choice Scarfed. I think I will take this trade. Should do a ton of damage. Nice. Kyogre probably clicked Origin Pulse, but I would love it if they Water Spouted. They Water Spouted. Okay, nice. That's huge. Now, we can go into Rayquaza, probably. I think I want to go Rayquaza first, because I want to see what they bring out, because it could be Miraidon. If it's Miraidon, I can double protect and see what you lock into. But it's a solid trade turn one, I think. They bring out Farigiraf. Okay. Interesting. I don't mind that, right? Huh, this is so interesting. If Farig's coming out immediately, like, I think you probably switch this out into Miraidon. And then, like, does this Trick Room? This is helping. It could Helping Hand right now, right? Okay, I went Helping Hand Dragon Ascent. I was hoping to see Kyogre switch out. Okay, that's not great. We outspeed. So they're really slow Ogre. Interesting. This is fine, I guess. What is Farig doing here? Psychic. Okay. Now you bring out Miraidon. Yeah. My question is, do you Terra into Fairy? If you Terra Fairy, I actually win the game with Urshifu. I'm hoping they just go Helping Hand Fairy, Terra Dazzling Gleam. If they do that, I win the game, because then I bring out Urshifu, I Water Terra, Helping Hand Surging Strikes, KO Miraidon. Oh, Terra? Terra Fairy, please? Cool. Thank you. Ooh, if you're Terra Electric, you might be Scarfed. Which I don't love. Drift into Rayquaza. I mean, I guess that's fine. Like, I could have gone Follow Me, but I don't think that really changes things. It comes down to Urshifu anyway. I just think if you are Electric Terra, I mean, I have Terra available, right? So the question is, does Surging Strikes in Rain and Water Terra KO Electric Terra Miraidon? Because I think I need to respect this being Choice Scarfed. So I can go Follow Me, Water Terra Surging. But I'm glad they did commit the Terra there. They didn't need to, actually. I also could have gone Helping Hand Dragon Set into the Rig slot. Follow me. Let's see, are you Choice Scarfed? Oh, they weren't even Scarfed. Okay. Well, then I think we should win this. Yeah, that's definitely enough. Nice. That's enough for a KO. Doesn't seem like they had any bulk, so I actually wonder if, even if they didn't Terra, if I had Helping Hand on top. No, I don't think it would have knocked them out. Resistance is just too much. Perfect. Okay. Now I can just Helping Hand Searching. But I think if my opponent just went Miraidon Farigiraf lead with Ogre in the back, I think I probably would have been done for pretty early on in this one. But fortunately, they went with something a little bit more aggressive and didn't set up that Trick Room ever. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. So thank you so much, as always, for joining me. I hope I have showcased the power of Rayquaza to all of you. It is a very powerful Pokemon when utilized properly, and I feel like it was just so incredible throughout so many games throughout this episode. So appreciate you all, as always, for watching. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all next time. All right, peace.